All right, so our next speaker is Kelsey Hightower, the captain of Kubernetes. Let's see, what other things did he say? He said just introduce him as Kelsey Hightower, but I think we all know him. Everybody's really excited about having him here. It is an extreme honor to have him here joining us today. So let's welcome him with a warm round of applause.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to do something I've never done before, okay? So treat me like a first-time speaker. I'm nervous like one. All right, so the beginning. I got my first job at a fast food joint, $4.15 an hour. I worked full-time, 40 hours, but mostly on the weekends, open to close. My mom picked me up at night. By the age of 16, I was the shift manager. That's right, I had all the keys. I even had the authority to tell people to clock out. I had the power. I was the boss. I earned that title through my work ethic, a trait that remains with me to today. Extra credit. I was introduced to tech in the 10th grade, not at 10 years old. A straight-A student who had to trade in his football cleats for a spot on a TSA. That's the Technology Student Association, an after-school program for kids that like computers. See, they give out extra credit to those that participate in the program. As a student who missed part of the school year due to a cross-country move, well, let's say those extra credits came in handy. Why the move? Well, it's complicated. But I'll say this, single moms are the greatest superheroes known to man. In my hotel room, that was smooth. If you're watching, Mom, I love you and thank you. All right, soon I will get my first computer, a TI-81, or maybe it was the 82. I can't remember. But it did make for a great Game Boy replacement. Still surprised the teachers never figured that one out. I remember writing my first program. Let's just say it was pretty basic. My first tech conference. I signed up for the TSA again. I didn't need the credits. I was here because I wanted to be. And let's be honest, I was never going to be a professional athlete. Every year, students get to compete in different areas of technology. I take them to AutoCAD. I found it relaxing building the perfect floor plan and then rendering it and bringing it to life. I had the power to create things. It was the first time I've ever witnessed an abstract idea jump from my mind into the front of my eyes, yet I was still awake. It was a 5-hour trip to Jekyll Island where all the kids gathered to compete. Everyone on the team rode in the same car, a small passenger van headed southeast towards the coast. Our teacher, Mr. Dewey, he was from Costa Rica. He was a semi-pro photographer and seemed to know just about everything. They say you remember the full names of the best teachers in your life, and Gardner Dewey was no exception. So was Miss Ramsier, my home ec teacher. Can you play some music? I asked. See, at the time, the hot album was Wyclef Jean's The Carnival, featuring the refugees, All Stars. And I had it with me. Okay, but no rap music, Mr. Dewey replied. So I handed the Wyclef CD to my friend, who covertly slid it into the car stereo. He knew it was about to go down. I figured I'd ease Mr. Dewey into it, meet him halfway. I knew he was a bit biased to rap music, so I skipped to this track. So, at this point in the song, Mr. Dewey was kind of feeling it. People tend to do this thing where they close their eyes and let the music take them away. Mr. Dewey was gone. And then the song continued to play, and this happened. We're looking around smiling. You should have seen his face when the bass line dropped. What the hell is this? We finished the song and we switched back to the FM radio. That day, Mr. Dewey taught me how to respect other people's biases and understand that we all have them. We arrived at the event. The place was massive. A resort with a conference center nearby. I guess when I look back, that was my first tech conference, but I wasn't there to speak. I was there to compete. The next day, and it was time. I was all set to compete in my first statewide AutoCAD competition. We had a few hours to complete the tasks on the specification given to us. Then print the results on the plotter, and you turn them in to the judges. For one reason or another, I wasn't able to print my work. I had completed the task perfectly. I even put a nice frame around it, like the professional architects do. It was a masterpiece, but no one would ever know because it would never ship. Somehow I ended with second place. I had the ribbon in my hand to prove it. Turns out the work was so good that disqualification would have sent the wrong message and go against the spirit of the competition. That day, I learned that tech could be fair, and I was finally good at something that didn't have a referee. Welcome to tech. I was in a small cubicle in an otherwise empty room with a security camera pointing at my desk, focused on the computer in front of me. See, they wanted to make sure no one was cheating. The security camera is how they catch you. I just submitted my final answers for my A+ certification. This was one of those fancy setups where you get the score back in real time. Pass or fail. Pass or fail. All I could think about the whole time, damn, this internet is slow. I passed. My score was so high, they offered me a job teaching others to prepare for the same exam that I took. I guess that was my first tech job, teaching others. How fitting. A few months went by, and I got a job installing DSL for a large ISP. I was a contractor. I would drive out to businesses and other people's homes and hook them up with high-speed internet access. Anyone remember ISDN? This was the dawn of broadband. I was swapping out 56K modems left and right. My work ethic served me well. I was an ace even picked up other people's service calls, and mastered the art of printing out efficient routes around the city, and managed to avoid the worst of the traffic by trading service calls with other contractors. I see your faces. You're like, what? You used to print out maps? I'm like, yeah, MapQuest was dope. The next stop would change my life forever. I'm getting close now, so I better turn down the music. I don't want anyone getting the wrong impression. I noticed a VW bug in the driveway. It was one of those new models, early 2000s. And the house, man, you guys should have seen this house. One of a kind, like the one I would have designed if I followed my dream to be an architect. There was a long pause at the driveway. It's like I had the wrong house. I checked the address. Yep, right place. It says right here on the paperwork. Can I help you? The man asked. I'm here to install your DSL service, I replied. As we make our way back to his home office, I couldn't help but notice the pictures on the wall. This person was pictured with 3 or 4 different presidents of the United States of America, each photo enlarged and displayed in its own frame, a different kind of trophy. What do you do? I asked. He replied, I'm an architect, a city planner. I worked on DC, Atlanta. He would go on to name a few more cities, but Washington, D.C. was proof enough. This guy was legit. There was this sort of tension in the air. Not fear. It was something else. All done. I was finished in record time. In some ways, I think I simply wanted to impress him with my technical skills. As I was bringing up his web browser to show him proof of the results, he muttered, "You're the first black person to ever step foot in my house." For some reason, I was not afraid. Now, after seeing the movie Get Out, I think I should have been. Where did you learn this? The man asked. Well, a book from Barnes & Noble helped me get my A+ certification, which helped me land this job, and I learned by doing, I replied. I dove into more details. I even threw out fancy technology terms he wouldn't understand, to impress him. Oh, look, that's a network printer. I'll happy to set that up for you. You know how to do that? Yeah, I do it all the time for the large companies. Still showing off. Moments later, I handed the man the old printer cable. You don't need that anymore. It's over the network now. You can even move the printer off your desk and make room for more work. I hung around for another hour or so answering questions about tech and how his son could jumpstart his tech career like I did. What college did you go to? Ooh, I was a bit embarrassed to give my answer. See, this person had a degree from one of those fancy colleges. Me, I had no degree. No college, sir, I replied. He seemed impressed. The very thing he had been afraid of, the uneducated, young black male, was nothing to fear, but in some ways, respect. That day, I learned that helping people was my superpower, and tech was my uniform. As long as I had it on, I was invincible. I also learned that people can change. And if you do it right, you get to watch it happen. This is Stepman. Over the years, my desire to learn and my work ethic opened multiple doors for me. I was switching jobs every 3 to 6 months. By this time, I had married, and I'm sure I gave my wife a heart attack every time I came home with a smile on my face and announced, "I quit my job today." Her body language was all I needed to hear. "Don't worry, I start my new job on Monday," in an attempt to offer some reassurance. "Why?" she asked. Then I was sure my new salary. Her body language was all I needed to hear. Over the course of several jobs, I evolved from a field technician to a system administrator. This was the perfect blend of problem solving and helping people. I had finally made it. Then I learned about this thing called on-call. And for some reason, they seem to always call you. We'll save that one for another time. So my whole career was built on work ethic by brute force. And I never lost that competitive nature. I even found a way to translate it into the type of leadership that helps sports teams win championships. But see, my field was now the office space, 3rd floor to be exact. I would later join a large financial institution. This was a real job. You know, the one that requires a 45-minute commute. And you know what the best part is? They let you wear jeans on Friday. Okay, hold on. They got this thing called meetings, okay? This is where a lot of people get in a large room and attempt to determine should they be there or not. This is the job where I learned to become a professional. Every element described in the Phoenix Project was at play here. To be honest, it was the 3 most stressful years of my life. When I first arrived, I noticed everything worked from a ticket queue. We were like robots, just following the process. We got a request, and we did the work. Some requests meant running the script. Some requests meant following the bill guide. I was still new when everyone else was out on vacation. My boss came to check on me. "Is everything okay?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'm good." The truth was I wasn't. This whole system was about being careful and following the bill guides exactly. One wrong step, and you cost the company big time. To top things off, I had never even learned how to do every task that came up. And just my luck, we had an issue that required 400,386 deployments to resolve. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit. But when you're doing things manually, it feels that way. The next day, I started to skip a few steps. See, the way we did deployments involved a little bit of magic. I called it shell scripts and hope. I found a way to streamline deployments by making a few small changes. You should have seen me. I was able to do deployments in minutes, not hours. I was breaking the rules. I was rolling solo, and I did the work of many, not because I was super smart or anything, but because I had no other choice if I wanted to keep up with the demand. Time would go on, and I remember adopting Puppet, the configuration management tool, for the first time. This is the part when I learned you can't solve problems with tech alone, especially when we don't have buy-in from the team. But I never gave up, though, because it did solve problems. I kept converting things to Puppet, not because I had permission to, but I just wanted to be ready when the opportunity presented itself. Given how things worked around here, it was a matter of time before the next outage or failure to meet the demands of the deployment. So I kept building because I knew the time would come and I would be ready. The time came and went multiple times. I was always ready. In all transparency, I paid a huge cost for this. I spent a huge amount of my personal capital at work and, more importantly, at home. See, I would have never been able to make those trade-offs without a strong woman at home with her own career to support me through all this. So if you're watching, Clarissa, I love you. Thank you. No one succeeds alone. Was it worth it? Well, I would say yes. I'm battle-tested now. I didn't walk the happy path. I bled to get here. I have the scars to prove it. But more importantly, my team had the victories. We won. More than once, actually. I'm going to close out the developer. With Puppet running in production now, I found the ways to shift my focus towards the application itself. Automated deployments were just the beginning. I started writing tools to close gaps in the product itself. One of my first projects, which I recently learned is still running some 6 years later, was converting mainframe jobs to Python. I learned so much legacy technology and gained a respect for the past. I learned the blazing speeds of fixed data formats and the power of packed decimal. You gotta save those bits. Performance matters. Almost 6 years into tech, and I was finally learning the basics. I'm not sure how I made it this far, but thanks to the help of the older employees that showed me the ropes, I was a more complete contributor. Until this very day, I can't understand why so many companies are afraid of hiring people because of their age. Too old, they say. Well, not at least out loud. See, that would be illegal. The real crime is missing out on mature talent and the ability to tap into a level of experience that will take literally decades to gain. Think about that for a moment. We are literally afraid of hiring our future selves. I went on to learn more things. Legend has it, I learned Java over a weekend so I can finish the integration between our apps and our Puppet stack. This is true. Let's just say I was highly motivated. The moral of the story is this. All this happened before the term DevOps was a thing. This is important to understand. Many people and organizations were successful before DevOps, before this thing had a name, before people found a way to work with each other. It's my belief that organizations that were most successful were filled with people that had one amazing trait. They gave a damn. You see, when you care about something, whether that's your career or the task at hand, it shows up in your work. It shows up in the interactions with people, all people, not just your coworkers, but your family members. When you give a damn about your life, yourself, and others, you'll always do the right thing. And then you'll find the courage to admit when you're wrong. It's not always about finding agreement. It's okay to disagree. I learned how to disagree, state my disagreement, and turn right back around and help others succeed, and put in the work like it was my own idea. Even when the other person's idea doesn't work out, it's the ability to avoid saying, I told you so. But rather make nothing of it. Head back to the whiteboard. That's what winning is. Look, buzzwords will come and go, and you'll remain. The key to doing this thing right begins and ends with you. I know all the excuses. I've heard them all, and I've used them. The truth of the matter is, the only framework you need to succeed can be found in the very nature of being a human being. As a person once said to me, don't be afraid of your own power. Thank you.